the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks, and welcome to our latest episode of SM Media's Countdown to Cheltenham 2025. I'm Scott McPike. It's always a pleasure to be your host, and it's beginning to get close. We're now 8 weeks to the big meeting. Obviously, we'll be here throughout that. It's getting quite busy now. It's now going to be Dublin Racing Festival Trials Day. It's going to be pretty much non-stop until then. But before we get into that, it's always a pleasure to welcome from the Scottish Daily Mail, Callum McCluckin.
Yeah, hi there. 8 weeks, 2 months. It does still somehow come in very quickly. You think, it's far away and you don't need to really, do much about it. But yeah, your final plan will be kind of starting to materialise now. You're beginning to get some entries out. Last week, the big three in the open races, then the hurdle races.
Mm-hmm.
This week, you've got Dublin Racing Festival entries out as well. And this big kind of Winter Million in Berkshire, this weekend, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's got, over $1 million in prize money there. So it's starting to materialise big style now. You're kind of getting away from your Christmas stuff and the week in a 2 week window where we didn't really have much happening now. It's now all systems go again.
And I'm pretty confident we're going to get action this weekend. It looks pretty good. I mean, there's no snow on the ground and there's no reports that everything's going up in the air. So I'm pretty confident we'll have a busy weekend of racing, so that's something to look forward to. Because obviously last week was so busy with the Christmas review, we didn't do questions, but we got a few questions in. This week we're going to put a bit more questions on. We'll start with one that is a big talking point. Would it be the right move now to send Fact to File to the Ryanair chase?
Personally, I think it's a bit like Brighter the Head and lots of mouth. For the sport, no, because best horses should be running the best races, and Ryanair isn't the best race. But they're opening the door now for that, and you can kind of see why after his last reversal, because he was maybe a bit too keen. Maybe the extra trip caught him out as well in relation to the winner, the Galloping Deschamps, obviously in the Savills chase. And he didn't look mentally ready for it. Now, he might step up and get close in the Irish Gold Cup, and I think that'll probably tell him where to go. But the noise is coming out the yard, the ownership suggests that they're opening that Ryanair door a little bit more from now. And even though he's the same age as Galloping Deschamps, he's significantly less experienced, and maybe that's kind of telling. And, it was kind of the long-term plan with Vautour, wasn't it, to maybe take the Ryanair in that year and then go Gold Cup the following year to be ready. And yeah. I think it's more of a kind of mental thing rather than a kind of physical thing. And ability-wise, he probably could make the frame in the Gold Cup. I think the trainer would probably be keen to, as a backup to Galloping Deschamps. He's comfortably second best still, isn't he? Maybe if Jerry Colombe comes right, he might be another threat that can come into it. The ownership, we've got Corbett's Cross, who's come in recently in that market. There's been a good whisper about him. Apparently it's a race he's been trained for, but the Betfair Chase was the race he was trained for over the summer. He was pretty well earmarked at the start of the King George, and that unravelled quite quickly. Not sure he's good enough. You can wait and see, but the trainer has the favourite. The other ownership has a good outside each week chance. Certainly of a different profile to Fact to File, more experience, probably more stamina, like softer grounds, Corbett's Cross. Fact to File, it might turn into a kind of Ryanair penalty kick for him, particularly if Gaelic Warrior goes champion chase, or like if the big guns go champion chase and they go and the race kind of cuts up in the nature it can, he could probably take it out in a kind of Allaho style fashion, so you could see him going off pretty short. I think he's 64 non-runner no bet there already, so you can kind of see where that's going to go at the moment. And he might scare horses off as well going the Ryanair. You've got quite a lot of big guns at the top of the market in each of these races, and they're going to varying degrees, are going to determine the strength of all three races. And invariably, one is usually quite weak, and it usually is a Ryanair. But if Factor File to drop into that, you could scale them all off into the Gold Cup. Then you've taken on Galloping de Champ anyway, and you're scaling them into John Bond, Gaelic Warrior, Energy territory. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult to kind of find these kind of like each way horses against them. Factor File, I think pre Savills Chase, I think he would have gone. He'd be going Gold Cup anyway, but the John Durkin maybe showed that he's a bit more effective over that 2.5 mile trip right now than he is over 3 miles. So yeah, I mean, I think it pretty much hangs in the balance. I think you just kind of want your better horses to run in Gold Cups. I think you want Galloping de Champ to take on different horses at Cheltenham, even though he was regularly taking on Fast or Slow anyway, and Fast or Slow was still his main rival, aside from Jerry Colombe in last year's rule. So I think you just want the Gold Cup to be as strong as it possibly can be, and it would lose a little bit if Factor File wasn't there.
Yeah, I can see the angle of going for the Ryanair, but yeah, obviously for the sport, we want him to go Gold Cup. I think as well, Spillane Tower is obviously owned by JP. It isn't just a case of it's a trainer thing. The owner obviously has so much firepower in so many different divisions.
Yeah,
I think I find it very hard to see that they'll go off the plan. Although I don't think he'll beat Galloping de Champs no matter what tactics they have. I don't think. I think going for a Gold Cup this year would maybe give him more of an experience next year as opposed to winning a Ryanair and having the same doubt again. I think we've been having the same doubt again next year of will he stay the extra trip if he went down the Ryanair route. It was the same. It would be the same with the tour. It was the same comparison where the only doubt was will he stay the trip. That was it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he gets 3 miles like what he done in the Brown Advisory novices chase, but the way it was his talent that won him that day against novices.
Yeah,
he's doing a lot wrong that he's not harnessing his energy to get it. He's bred for it, and he will get it in time. But can he get it in a Gold Cup in a top bona fide Grade 1 race where he has to conserve energy because he's trying to kind of stalk Galloping de Champ. He was given a freebie up front, but Galloping de Champ's old and mature enough now to just control the race at his own pace, and that's what he did. And Factify was always wanting to go a little bit faster, and that's just down to plain simple inexperience. He's got to learn to kind of settle, and if he races like that again, then he's probably heading Ryanair. But if he gets closer and sees out his race a little bit better, then they might stick to the Gold Cup plan. So I think it all hinges on what he does in the Irish Gold Cup.
Let's move into the next question. Obviously, during the Christmas period, Daryl Jacob announced his retirement after winning on Imperi Pass. We've got to put this out. What was your favourite Daryl Jacob memory?
Sirkander probably in the Triumph. I know the Grand National one's obvious, and it was a quite dramatic outsider that won that. But I mean, Zarkana, about 17 Zarkana won the Triumph, and it was a race that reminded me of like how long the home straight is at Cheltenham, because he went inside, outside, and looked a bit too far back, travelling well, and then get into trouble second last, and then like a lot of popular ways to doing the Triumph, they eventually switch to the rail, and then he just shoots away and wins like a class act. It was a lovely performance. It's got a race that's really good, pretty much year in year out now. The Triumph for the juveniles, it's a race where everyone wants to kind of try and find one early and get excited and where the next genuine star could be along with the Supreme. So yeah, I think Daryl Jacob, when he committed arguably a bit too soon that hit in traffic, but actually helped him, and then didn't panic again. He realised he didn't want to do it again, and then switched back to the other and won a decent Supreme in good style. So yeah, it's probably Zarkanda.
The one horse for me, I would say memory-wise, probably Bristol de Mai. To win 3 Betfair chases, I think more impressive to be third in a Gold Cup in 2019. That was a famous Might Bite in Native River, but if you watch that race back, Bristol de Mai comes from nowhere to finish third and kind of save the day. And I remember being on each way. I remember being on Might Bite, and Bristol de Mai kind of saved the day that day. But overall, I think Bristol de Mai, a lot of good horses he's won with, though. Just obviously looking through his Cheltenham winners, Arcanda, La Fontana, Concertista. He's won 31 Grade 1s. Like, he's obviously a lot of those were part of the Munir and Suede partnership, but that kind of stood him in good stead. But it just says Arcanda, he was kind of picking up the pieces a lot when he was with Nichols, and he got some good mounts because Ruby was kind of usually going back to Ireland. But I mean, some good horses in there: Lamy Serge, Rev de Sevilla, Terrafort, Top Notch. Like some Blue Lord, obviously here in Ireland, reading Tommy Wrong, Fusil Raffles, Footpad, El Fabiolo. I mean, he got on some good horses.
Yeah, and he's always around the country. You know, when you saw the double green, particularly 10 years ago, he would kind of go out ride here. You know, and like Musselburgh Trials, say he'd be the one to go up and probably ride them before Nico de Boinville was actually on the scene, arguably at that time.
Yeah.
And he would go to and he'd obviously ride for Stuart Crawford and things like that. So yeah, I mean, and Perry Pass as well. He's sometimes been on, you know, Paul Townend kind of get first dibs when required, but you know, he still gets some useful rides. And you know, best of luck to Tim in the future, and Gigi Slevin as well is taking over. I mean, I know like retainer riders for ownerships sometimes seem a bit kind of fruitless and things like that. But you know, the fact that they've gone in and got somebody else means that they're committed to the sport. So I mean, hopefully we haven't seen the last of their colours for a long time, because they do kind of support other trainers and other tracks quite well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they do have a good spread of trainers. When you mentioned Paul Townend there, probably an interesting question relating to him. What will Paul Townend ride in the Arkle?
Must be a little antique.
Do you think he'll go that route? Do you think there's any chance he goes 3 miles?
I think there's no chance this horse goes 3 miles. No chance. This horse needs a 2 mile aggressive ride from the front. Simple as that. I mean, I think he needed it in his hurdle days where they kind of we actually went up and trip with him, and then Patrick Mullins tried to strangle him in the Ballamore. It didn't work, and you know, and then he went south a little bit for the rest of the season and went sour. Combination of maybe wrong trip, but definitely wrong tactics and definitely good ground. He does not want good ground. You know, he needs it. He needs it soft, and normally you do get a decent coating of water in the first day invariably. Yeah. So I mean, I just give him, and his jumping's his asset. So yeah, I would give him a positive ride over 2 miles, because I mean, he held up a 3 mile race seems pointless to me, and he seems to be going Irish Arkle. You know, they seem to be committing to that. The market's telling you that he's third favourite. You know, I mean, I just think it's pretty obvious where he's going to go. It's Willie Mullins, and it could all change.
I don't think there's much else. Like, I don't think Tully Hill is.
Well, I quite like Mr. Giff when he turned over Tully Hill. I like the way he powered in, and to do that in his first jump start was quite impressive. He's a 135 rated hurdler, but I mean, he was stalking the front two quite well. Tully Hill will be better left-handed, but I just don't think he's up to that Grade 1 at the moment, particularly when you've got 2 stars like Sergino and Masborough in there. So I mean, it might be kind of one of those. It might be kind of one of the longest shots Paul Townend's on all week by the end of play, because Mark Walsh will be in Masborough. So I think it'll be El Atlantique from the front. Simple as that. Maybe Mr. Giff can creep into it if they don't. But I mean, you've got J.G. Slevin there to ride that probably. So I mean, I think that's probably about it, to be honest.
Yeah, can't see anything other than Atlantique. I just think there's shouts about that he's 7-1 for the Brown Advisory. Like, it's not. I don't think
Ballyburn, isn't it? You know, I mean, Ballyburn's not going to go this way. You know, El Atlantique. But I mean, you could flip them if you wanted to, but I just can't see it happening. El Atlantique, you know, he's probably not good enough. If anything, he's going to set it up for the front two anyway by setting the pace.
Yeah, I think El Atlantique will be his ride in the Arkle. What do you think the worst price favourite of the Cheltenham Festival is at this point?
I mean, it's an endless list, isn't it? I mean,
don't say Salvator Mundi, because we'll cover him later.
You could say all of them. I mean, the whole market just looks pretty grim, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'll just about stick with the new line, because I think other horses are going to come into this at 5-2. And Harry Skelton this week's opened the door to the Supreme. If the ground is bad, you know, in a kind of Slade Steel style switch. So, yeah, while it sets a standard, we don't go off the bridle. You know, the Charlo record's just, you know, there to put you off at that price at the moment. And I think decent horses will defect here. You know, I mean, Kelhiswara knows another McManus horse, but I thought he shaped quite well in behind Salvador Mundi. I mean, he's one that's going to improve for going 2.5 miles. I think there's a lot that will improve for 2.5 miles if a final demand wins in Nathaniel Lacing's style.
Yeah.
He could come here. Like Yellow Clay's a solid unit. He's invariably going to run his race in this. So there's, while it's not obvious, there are going to be 4 or 5 decent Irish contenders queuing up to take him on, and you'd like to see them. Cocktail Divan, I think, it's a very good horse as well, and I think he'll have a chance into this. Cade Duthie could come here, and there's so many that could come and really worry him. And he won that on the bridle, effectively. He's going to be in a battle in this race, and he's not going to win this by 10, 15 lengths, hosing home like Ballymurn did last year. So I think his price he's just about the worst, and but it's a strong field.
Yeah, that's kind of the two. Like, I'm going to say another one and just get your thoughts on that in a second, just for no other reason than I just think it's hype more than anything. But in terms of new line, I think the two things are the Charlo record is obviously 0 for 17, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, enough to put you off at 5-2. And I don't think Willie Mullins has played his hand in this division yet because, like you mentioned, Final Demand, who I think might have too much class for a battler, especially if he wins the Nathaniel Lacey impressively. And we don't know, likes of Kopek, De Boer, Cade Duthie, both of them. Do you know how Willie Mullins likes to switch? If either of them win impressively, is he going to run them against Salvator Mundi if he thinks Salvator Mundi's special? And you've got another one in Ballygunner Castle. I think he's potentially got 4 horses who could be number one option in this race.
And you've got a Henry de Bromley horse there, and Cocktail,
and Potter's Charm as well.
And Potter's Charm as well. And the Yellow Clay is a good, solid Gordon Elliott horse.
Yeah.
It's probably done more in the book than Romeo Coolio has. So,
yeah.
I mean, there are plenty there. All right, he could still be head and shoulders above, but if nothing impresses in Double Racing Festival, then he could probably win it.
I think the simple reason, I don't think he'll be bigger than 5-2 on the day. We've said that since he won the Charlo. Yeah. I don't think he'll go any shorter.
I think you can go through all these races, 28 of them, and I think you'd be lucky if 4 of them get shorter.
I thought you were going to say the name Lalamba. That's the one I thought you were going to say.
No, only because the Nicky Henderson yard and the colours. Normally, these gambles aren't insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a Willie Mullins horse, he's got so many. This is a bit different, and there are rumours that he's been working with like John Bond, outworking him and things like that. And he's been hammered in, and what we've seen so far hasn't been great either. So 41, all right, yeah, it's a bad price because we've not seen him, and and it's a triumph, and you don't know, but there's nothing to say that he could not be the next Sub-Zero instantly. I mean, he's got the right background and the right pedigree for it, and it's and the makeup of the race is even weaker. So no, I've got enough respect for the market move not to put that one up. But yeah, I would certainly not be backing it for.
And the only other one I could think of was Maureen, but again, she could come out and bolt up at the end of January or whenever we see her and be 6-4. So.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the Chromo horse this week was very impressive. Just again another one we haven't seen, but I wouldn't be queuing up to take them on. Dino Blue's going back. We're still hanging on to favouritism. You'd be worried if you're on her earlier on. Constitution Hill might have 2 very good mares to come on. He might not go off odds on after that. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, Tia Hoopu's now 6-4, and you're getting that, close to the off last year. So I mean, he's notably shorter than he was this year than he was last. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty there. There's a lot there that you'd say yes, too short at the moment, but there's not a lot there that you'd actually nail your colours to the mast and take on. I think it's kind of wait and see, because if you like some of these favourites but don't like the price, I think you're going to get a lot better closer to the off.
Final question. We mentioned entries. What was your biggest takeaways from the entries we've had so far for Cheltenham?
Well, I thought the most significant thing about the Champion Hurdle entries was King of Kingsfield was in it.
Okay.
Because he's there to set the pace again for Bright Days Ahead. So why would you bother her on the Mayor's Hurdle if you're not going to do what you did last day? It pointed to me that she's not going to run in the Irish Champion Hurdle. and keep her fresh, and they're going to just wait for a last-minute decision. A reasonably late decision anyway, and probably go champion hurdle. But I thought it gave extra credence that she'd run in the champion hurdle, putting King of Kingsfield there, because he's normally their kind of county hurdle horse as well. So I mean, I don't think they'll be chucking away a valid county hurdle horse, for the champion hurdle, where it's just to set up the pace for brighter days ahead, because that's his only conceivable role. He's got no chance of winning it. So the fact he was there along with brighter days ahead would kind of give you extra confidence that brighter days ahead would run in a champion hurdle to me, than a mare's hurdle. So I thought that was interesting. The mare's hurdle, by contrast, it's the worst Grade 1 I think that you'll ever see at the moment at Cheltenham. I mean, I know you can get this when top class mares do go to the champion hurdle, but where on earth is a 150 horse in this?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Cargis, he didn't win the Triumph. You've got no idea it stays. You'd be less confident it stays in Lossiemouth. It's less ability in Lossiemouth.
Far keener than Lossiemouth.
5-2.
Yeah.
Without a run. And it's going to run this weekend against nothing, odds on, over 2 miles. So you're going to learn nothing again. And if it comes in again, it'll be like 2-1. And people don't seem to be batting an eyelid at this. July Flower has had one run in her life in UK and Ireland, and is the second best mare in the country out with the top two. It's unbelievable how a horse that can have one run in one race could be 6-1 for a mare's hurdle.
It's
the back of it.
It's a terrible market.
It's a shocking. Some of them are going over fences for no reason. The mare's chase is going to be better than the mare's hurdle at this rate. I mean, it's if you've got a high 130 horse to run it here, it is absolutely. I mean, people want to. I mean, it should be ground. I mean, if it develops into what it could be this year, it should be made a Grade 2. It should be made exactly the same as a mare's race. It is awful. I was just scrolling down and seeing. I've never seen. I mean, it could easily be the worst Grade 1 ever run at Cheltenham Festival ever.
Yeah, it's not looking good for it, especially, and as well, we want the top two in the market. Like, again, you could say, "Oh, we want to see brighter days ahead."
That's a big caveat, isn't it? I mean,
we don't want it in this though.
There's
we want
usually
it in the champion hurdle.
Well, as the mayor's programme is established there. I mean, it's supposed to be established now. We should be getting more decent mares running against each other in behind that level, but there is this clamour to go chasing or retire quite quickly. I mean, I think the Mare's Novices Hurdle looks a better race.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly more interesting. I just think too many of them are kind of going handicapping, and there's so many of these kind of wee listed pots that they just don't really bother with Grade 1s and out the box thinking. So if you had anything decent here, you should be running it. We should be having like at least 15, 20 runners. This could collapse into like an 8-runner farce. The county hurdle's going to be a better race than it. It's shaping up to be really, really poor. I mean, in behind Honeysuckle, you had like Love Envoys and Tell Me Something Girls that were good, and Black Tears made the step up in handicap company. Marie's Rock with the step up to handicap company. Queen's Brute was a decent horse. Your Stormy Islands of the world and your Ellie Mays and El Files and things like that be absolutely queuing up to running this.
Yeah, I mean the
Vroom Vroom Mags and Benny the Doos and Annie Powers. Where are they? I mean, where are Stormy Islands? Where are these kind of just below the top notchers? I mean, it seems to be the top two and the rest are £30 worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great. I mean, so I was very unenthused by that. Maybe even more so as a selfish Zenta backer, because she'd be about 10-1 in this if they ran here instead of trying to.
Did she not? She's not entered, isn't she?
No, she's not even entered. You can supplement, I suppose. But I mean, the thing is, though, if it doesn't work again, you'll just see in a handicap, and you're looking at it going, it's a Grade 1 for the team.
Yeah. No, I think it's
not even in a place. Not even a place conversation there for the team. Gallimarceau's there.
Dysarino's 33-1. Like, don't know if she stays, but Queen's Gamble again. I like her for the Betfair Hurdle potentially.
135. You know, I mean,
but
and she's not out of it.
135 might be good enough.
Calaconte as well. I mean, you can't rule anything out because it's that bad.
Yeah.
At the moment, you know. So
Right.
I mean, that was pretty enthusiastic. And the Steers Huddle is just like rinse and repeat, really from last year, isn't it? There's a couple of new faces there, but you know, T Hooper's a shade shorter and probably rightfully so. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of, there wasn't any kind of major surprises, I suppose.
Nah, nothing really jumped out either. Let's move into our performances. Only really three that I can think of off the top of my head that were worth talking about. We'll start with obviously the big one, the one that's got the world debating. Salvator Mundi winning the Moscow Flyer, 10-3 for the Supreme. Callum, I text you immediately after the race saying he did a lot wrong and still won. What do you think? Well, overall, yes, the price is terrible. Yes, he's going to need to improve to win a Supreme. But is he the right favourite at the moment?
It's a classic, typical Marmite horse at the top of the Supreme market, isn't it? I don't think he's the right favourite. I think Roman Kulo should be favourite. But I think this horse potential has class and gears that Roman Kulo doesn't have. I'd train with Willie Mullins, and that's a deciding factor. I mean, he did everything wrong. I mean, he didn't do anything right apart from win. And then Paul Townend admitted that afterwards. And there's been a lot of good kind of balanced analysis on him, and a lot of stuff that I agree with, because you can't write him off because it's not shaping up to be a strong race at the moment. The best thing that he did was from second last to the line, where he showed something that Romo Kulo couldn't do in a Royal Bond, which was win from there and make up ground. We know he can jump better because we saw he can jump better in a Triumph, but you know, it's second season novice after a Triumph, usually a negative. And is he settling? Not really. And is the form as strong as it should be to be top of the market? Again, not really. But he has class, he has potential, and he's got a bit of speed there because he went a crawl and he's dug it out. Yeah, he's another one that he's hard to pigeonhole because sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't, depending on the strength of the race. The strength of the race, it looks fairly weak. I mean, you'd imagine him be trying to ridden handily and prominently. I think he's got the talent to win it. I think he's got the class to win it, but I just question if he's got the temperament to win it at the moment, because I would expect him to have settled. He only settled because he jumped past the horse on the inside in the first. And again, I think they're trying to kind of find something out about him. I think they left a lot on him as well. And I think that's why he's getting up there. I think there is scope to improve massively from it. So there are positives and negatives. And I think, again, big races like the Dublin Racing Festival, the other last kind of ditch trials, are probably getting it. But I do think ridden handily in a strongly run race will suit him a bit better. But it's just whether he kind of chucks it away to start again. You know, I mean, you like to see your horses in the Supreme handle the occasion the first day and do things right and settle and jump well. And there's just a few kind of question marks. I suspect he's the most talented in the field. And I suspect he's got the necessary gears to win it, and it'll devour the hill. And I think Cheltenham will suit him more than Punchestown. But, you know, the form of that race doesn't look, on face value, doesn't look that strong. He dug it out quite well. If he improves naturally from it, I think he certainly can jumping wise. But my biggest doubt about him would be what's going on behind the ears, because if there's a decent horse that can kind of, I think it's maybe a bit like the Tunners, where it's kind of like the one, the star potential is probably favourite, but the solid horse is probably the Elliott horse instead, in Romeo Coolio, and you'd trust them to run their race more. You necessarily think they're going to be a above average winner of them? No, but might not need to be. So that's the kind of thing. It's hard to weigh up, because if you're a believer in him, I think he could go close, and I think he's probably kind of like Facile Vega level talented, where he could probably improve a lot more, and I think he could see a decent horse, and without, and he has had historical setbacks, but not a major setback coming into it as much. So they do have time to brush up on things there, and you would you just trust the guy to get him right on the day for it. Just whether he handles it all, and if he can get away with doing as much wrong as he can at a Supreme, and if Romeo Coolio, who I think is kind of Marine National level of uncomplicated ability, but no world beater, if he does everything right, and he can fend them off from the front. So I mean, I think between those two at the moment, 6-1 Romeo Coolio, 7-2 Salvador Mundi, I'd probably just lean towards Romeo Coolio at the moment. But then you've got springers to come in from the Dublin Racing Festival as well, and the standard that's been set isn't overly high at the moment. At the moment, anyway, so it's wide open. Work ahead's going straight there for Henry de Bromhead, and he's a smart each way player for some. He could be anything. So you do have kind of potential types in there. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a horse that's going to be fashionable to knock and take on, but I wouldn't rule him out. I think there is second, particularly what he did between second last in the line. He did showcase that there is serious engine, serious ability there. It's just whether he can harness it appropriately. Get a bird, Tilly didn't, for instance. Classical Dream did. So that's the kind of thing that you're kind of trying to weigh up. The thing that really bugs me though is his temperament, and I'm not overly keen on second season novices because they tend to kind of show their hand. So maybe that jolt of improvement that should be there from that race maybe isn't.
That's the thing. That's the kind of. There's three things I wanted to cover here. The first one was he was very, very keen, and it was a slow pace, right? So I don't think you'll get that in a Supreme. I don't think you'll get away with that in a Supreme. Okay, I think the one thing I will say positive about it though is that what you said about kind of the way he kept on towards the line. That's the best winners of the Supreme that do that. They're always best coming up the hill. Do you know what I mean? Like, very rarely do you have a horse that's all speed that wins a Supreme. So that I would have that going for me. The other thing I would say is it just a case? It's Willie Mullins. We know Townend's going to ride it. There's not really anything else jumping out as putting in like an exceptional performance, and he's just the number one for the best yard. They always tend to. Do you know what I mean? Apart from maybe last season,
always go off favourite, don't they? I mean, Dice
yeah,
Dino went off joint favourite with Constitution Hill, for instance. So
really, even last year, the best horse was Ballyburn, and they decided to go Turners. But I still think Tully Hill or Mystic Flower went off favourite.
Yeah, Tilly Hill did go off favourite. I mean, I didn't like that from the start.
No.
I mean, I had a solid opinion against that. I had a solid opinion against Appreciate It, for instance. I was solid against Get A Bird, for instance. I don't see enough solid reasons for or against him in this time. It's the nature of the race. It's a bit guessy. There's no kind of form line that's intersected through them all. Normally you'd get one beating the other, maybe in a Dublin Racing Festival by now, and you could tell. If he gets away with it, he'll get away with it due to pure raw ability, and he could switch off in the race. But it's the second season factor as well that does bug me the most, because he should be learning to sell better than that. You've had a juvenile season, you had a race in France with good form line in Sergino. You've had time to learn. I know there might have been setbacks and he's been tricky to train and things like that, but I mean, he said the best part of 2 years really to kind of sort that stuff out, and he's not quite learning appropriately, but he's still running, big races visually, to the eye. I think it'd be better on better ground as well. It was quite dead at Punchestown. It looked difficult to be really impressive with anything that you're doing there. He's an interesting one. I don't see him being backed off the boards into favouritism like the rest, but he might be just because they just latch on to the Townend Mullins factor. So, I certainly wouldn't be rowing in, but I wouldn't rule myself out backing him 94 in the morning. If the vibes was good in the race, and I'm not convinced about Romeo Coolio and things like that, and you just think I'll just go with the one with the star potential because that's the one the market's going for. But yeah, it's there are reasons for and against, and they balance each other out quite well at the moment. And he's short enough that you don't need to get involved too soon, I don't think.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move into Handstands, who was quite impressive on at the weekend. I think the trainers and connections have said they don't really think Cheltenham was the be all and end all. I think it's more the owner that maybe wants to go to Cheltenham. I think Ben Pauling has certainly mentioned Aintree, but did everything right. Like, maybe overjumped a couple, but I don't think we'll be. I don't think we'll be talking about him as a Cheltenham horse, but I think it's certainly worth noting his performance.
Yeah, it was a very good performance. Silly Isle seems to be the plan, and then by utilising that, Cheltenham might be too quick for him, and he could use that as the trainer could use that as a useful excuse to the owner and say,
Yeah,
look what happened at Cheltenham last year where he didn't handle it, last in the Gallagher, and that knocked him back. So we've got him back on track. Let's just take it in space. And that graded race is gone. That's a race for him. You're not going to run him in a handicap, are you? So I mean, might as well just wait for entry and wait for the 2.5 mile race. Ben Pauling's got the jukebox man, the 3 miler. I mean, where's he going to go? A Cheltenham perspective, he's more likely to be a 3 miler than a 2 miler. He's definitely not going to run. He's definitely not going to run 2. So yeah, Silly Isle's perfect race for him. Right-handed stammer to finish because he was good on top of the line. I think pound for pound, Ben Pauling as a trainer has been excellent this season.
Yeah.
I think he's been trainer of the year. Actually, the way handstands, he was knocked sideways. I mean, that was a bit of a culture shock, and some horses don't really come back from that kind of experience as a novice hurdler at Cheltenham. But and then he had a fall at Wincanton that was quite heavy, and then he's come back and won a Grade 2 since then. He's won another one. He's just been sensibly placed. I think he's going at his own pace, and you just wouldn't change the trainer's roadmap at all with him. And leading chance with the jukebox man as well. He's maximising a lot out of his horses. Diva Luna, the mare's novices, isn't without an each way chance. They rate her highly, she's been campaigned to peak at the right time. So I really rate the yard in this horse finding his feet. Okay, he's probably not a bona fide top notcher. He's definitely not a jukebox man. He's probably kind of maybe Grade 2 is ultimately going to be his level, but you can see Grade 2 operators winning Grade 1s at Aintree because all the better ones have gone Cheltenham beforehand. So he's got a chance, and he's also probably got a chance in the Silly Isles as well. So yeah, he jumped well. The race itself, yeah, okay, it's fallen apart, but he had them all well covered by 4 out. He was stamping his class on it before everything else kind of came behind and got in each other's way and came to grief. But he can be called the winner a long way out. Maybe the second getting within 4, 5, 6 lengths pins the form down a little bit as a rogue outsider, but the Skeleton Mare was never travelling at any point. And he was a worthy winner. Also credit to the BHA for rearranging that and getting that Grade 2 in at Foss last to see a decent graded performance in Britain.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move into a very nice Mare's Novice performance by 6.5 for a very informed Gavin Cromwell yard. Now into 6-1, kind of second favourite for the Mare's Novice hurdle. I think she's probably the best we've seen in that division so far this season.
This season, yeah, would be favourite if Maureen wasn't there, probably.
Yeah.
It's a good race. I think Devlin in behind, Isle Power, there'll be others in there. There's some good promising types here, so the Mare's hurdle shouldn't be as bad next year as it is this year. Yeah, it did it with style. Won by 12 lengths. It was impressive. She's not the biggest. You think she is a hurdler, and then Gavin Cromwell is having some right good times with it.
He's really good.
These mares in particular. Training them down to a T, and he's got a strong hand in the mare's chase and a strong hand now in the mare's novice hurdle as well. And yeah, there's a lot to like from it. She got better the way the race went on. It was that kind of nice 2 mile 2 distance where you could make a decision whether you could come back or go up and trip. And you do need stamina in the mare's novice hurdle anyway in the new course because it can be a lot of runners and it can be fastly run. So. Yeah, I think she's a massive player. Her jumping was immaculate, and she's beaten 2 decent yardsticks. I mean, the Mullins one in third. They thought a lot of her. She needs 2.5, but she did have a decent reputation. It was 20-1 beforehand for the Mare's Novice in that race, and the second is under delivering slightly, but costs €500,000. So certainly no kind of back numbers in behind. That was the Elliott yard. So. He smashed some two decent kind of reputations in the water there, and it's straight to the Mare's Novices hurdle with them. 6-1, you can't really grumble about it too much. But again, it's a division where there's going to be others who'll toss their hat in the ring, and you might as well kind of wait and see what's what with them.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think it could be a very, very good opening race on Thursday. We'll move into what's coming up this weekend. We've got a lot more races to talk about, and hopefully we'll have a lot more to recap on next week. Let's start on Friday at Windsor. We've got a Grade 2. We've got the Lightning Novices Chase. Callum, I personally think this is as no better race as you can get. I think you can pick holes in all four horses here. Caldwell Park, Caldwell Potter, even money. You've got Gidley Park 9-2, Personal Ambition 7-1. You wear it well 8-1. Caldwell Potter, obviously the hype is high. Maybe underperformed so far. I personally don't really think I'll have a bet here.
Yeah, I mean, for the first graded race or £1.2 million meeting, seeing four runners for a Grade 2 Lightning Novices Chase is not encouraging.
No.
Particularly in a new track like Windsor. We really, if we can't really support this sufficiently, then you've got to be a bit concerned for the general kind of future of the sport. Really, I mean, it's not great. It's not a brilliant turnout. Caldwell Potter, he'll get soft ground, back and trip. Shade under evens now. I think he's just about the most convincing here. I mean, Personal Ambition's a horse I really like. We really should have won the Grade 2 last time. And it's Gidley Park's in a recovery mission. You wear it well. It's
not a natural jumper, I don't think.
I mean, she's another that you'd be screaming into go the Mayor's Hurdle. What are you thinking? But it's not. It's trying to make a jumper, and it's not really materialising. It could here, but it's been found out a little bit. Gidley Park, a recovery mission. You have to find it hard to trust him in this trip, surely, on the short side. So, yeah, I mean, it's a trappy little race from a punting perspective, but I think it's between Caldwell Potter and Personal Ambition. You could do the dual forecast for token interest, but I do think you'll see an improved Caldwell Potter this time, and he get knocked, but losing to Django Bay doesn't look too bad.
No.
And Springwell Bay in second is won quite well subsequently and rated now in the 150s. So he's probably lost out to two bona fide 150s, jumped them silly, and then been found wanting. If he sees out his race here, he could win this by 20 lengths and be back in the picture. And that's what he could do. And all of a sudden, evens isn't too bad. And for all that, I think there's a racing Personal Ambition that might not be this off 140. I mean, he does have Caldwell Potter. He still has a superior rating to these, and just because he's not finished off one race. He jumped really well at Carlisle as well. He's a bold brass jumper. This should suit him. The fences come up quite quickly in Windsor. We've only seen it once, but they do kind of rat-a-tat-tat, sweeping bend. I think it'll suit him quite well. So I think even money about him might not be too bad, actually. Although, and on first glance, he'd be like queuing up to take him on, but
yeah.
I don't really think he can.
We'll move into Ascot and Saturday. Before we look at Clarence House, we'll look at quickly the Mayor's Hurdle, Grade 2. We mentioned, obviously, Kirgisi is going for this. Obviously, I imagine Paul Townend will be on board. She's 4-6, probably backs up your point of what's in behind. You've got Take No Chances, Casa Momento, O Betty. There's not a lot in here, and you'd imagine Kirgis is pretty much the one to beat here, and I'm frightened at the thought of what price she'll be after this.
Yeah, rated 141, and she should take care of these. Over 2 miles, Ascot, sharp track. She's got pace, and they'll try and settle her to the best that they can and educate her. And it's a kind of lossy mouth route, isn't it? It's like after Christmas, we'll just wait and try and strike then. I mean, I'm not knocking these mares in behind. Their Take No Chances could improve. Castlemaine could, but I mean, at least they are kind of 2 miles, though, aren't they? I mean, you can't really see many of these going up and trip too much. Take No Chances was in the fighting fifth, for instance. So I mean, 2 miler might be mapped out for a county hurdle or something like that.
Yeah.
Things like that have got to be considered. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to look beyond the obvious here in Cargis, because the Triumph Hurdle form from last year, is working out quite well.
Yeah, I think she's going to be hard to beat. I do think she's the most likely winner of the Mares Hurdle, especially if the two can, if Brighter Days Ahead and Lottymouth continue to go Champion Hurdle. But as you say, what price is she going to be? And we don't know if she's going to be. I personally, my worry is, will she settle enough for 2.5 miles? I don't think I'm worried about the trip. I think I'm more.
That's the thing, and I mean, she doesn't need to settle here to win this. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing. She just needs to kind of, Paul Ten will probably try and put her in behind a couple of these horses early on to try and do that, and they probably won't go quick enough for her, and she'll just cart off. And we need to improve from the fitness front, so you don't want to kind of leave the race behind by accident because the prize money is quite good. So it's a tricky one, and I mean, she could settle and she's bred for it as well, but you wouldn't be as confident as you would with Lossiemouth that she'd do it. She's won over 2 mile, 1.5 in France and things like that. I mean, Aintree's a bit stiffer in the finish.
Mm-hmm.
You found out, she's probably got £10 to improve on. She'll hit 150 and that's enough. And she could probably get away with it. I mean, you've got similar fears with Golden Ace, where she doesn't quite see it out and things like that, and maybe that's kind of pinning down the Mares Hurdle division a bit too much because some of them are just genuine 2 milers as well. So maybe the division is a little bit better and the trip's kind of just putting them off a little bit. But yeah, she'll win this, and the only thing you're looking for is how hard she's going to pull, really, with a view to the future.
Yep, absolutely. We'll move into the 250. We've got the Bet365 handicap chase. Maritor leads the market for Venetia Williams. I have a strong fancy in this. I think there is a big race in bad for Ben Pauling, and I think this could be it. 3 runs this season over fences. I think you can take positives from all 3. I think probably kind of still off 125. I think that's more than capable. I really think this could be a big opportunity for him here.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to go buy horses, or does he? I mean,
I think that's could be his time, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you could put him in a sale on air, he wouldn't go buy. That's the kind of thing that you're worried about. You like the horse, and I've been barking at that tree and running off that cliff for a little bit. There was one time at Ascot where I thought I did genuinely give up hope. February the 24th, that was over hurdles, where he's backed into 92 joint favourite. He was second from 16.
Yeah.
Disappointed at Sandown. Sandown's not his track. He does like Ascot, but he get beat by Baloo, and again he had absolutely every opportunity to go by. He did the same thing at Ascot when prominently when beaten by a 125 horse of Venetia Williams, and then Southall, he just second again. He just. I can't have faith, and the price is going as well now. I can't each way, yes, but 11-2 in a race like this, not really my bag. But I don't really have a strong opinion on anything in this. We've got to be honest. Chantress won't run.
No,
Won't be soft enough. You want a kind of decent ground horse, and he's off a fair weight where he might get away with it. I mean, some of these horses they do get their day in the sun eventually. They do become well handicapped enough to go past and win. But yeah, I can just see him travelling up stylishly, and something comes and out battles him, maybe a Scarface or something. But not a lot of these have terrific win rates to their record. It's an interesting little race, but it's one that I've not get much better interested.
Okay. We'll move into the 250, which is the BetMGM Holloway's handicap hurdle. I've got another strong opinion. I really like the Jerry Fielding form this year, and I mentioned about the Betfair hurdle. I think Queen's Gamble and Golden Ace are my 2 for that race, and I think Queen's Gamble was very, very well held behind Nigel Windy, who I think has the capability to improve again here.
Yeah, it's a good open competitive race. Quite like Harry Fry's beat the bat. I mean,
Yeah.
He's drifting again. Maybe another that kind of he didn't get a good ride the last day. He came a bit too far back, up and tripped slightly. I think that's a kind of plus for him. The yard have kind of gone missing for quite some time now, but I like how the fact that they're kind of stacking up their entries and giving this a bit of a go. Seems a bit of a positive to me. I quite like Camsonas, but there's a problem in the yard, I think. And Navil Indies is well typed up for a Betfair hurdle and probably need to win this to get in.
Yeah.
You can see why he's popular in the market. So it's a very open race. It's got a chance. They're latching on to the Henderson pair a little bit. I prefer Imposi Trois out of the two if they take their chance. But yeah, I thought Beat the Bat he was unlucky. Everyone knew he was kind of it's way too far back against Steel Ally. He's a decent horse. It's ran okay in graded company. So yeah, I mean, I Beat the Bat was just the percentage call, up £3 for that. That wasn't too bad. He's also won around this kind of course and distance at Ascot. So his mark's no gimme, but pushing out to tens, he's becoming a bit backable. But it's a really open race.
We'll move into the big race of the weekend, which is the Clarence House Chase. It's going to be Henderson versus Mullins again, John Bond versus Energamine. Callum, I might say something that's quite harsh, but I think this is where I'm at. I think John Bond needs to beat one of the big horses going into Cheltenham for two reasons. Number one, I think Energamine's a two-time champion chase winner. Looked good when he came back last time out. Obviously, that form has been found at Banbridge. And I think as well, yes, he's done it. He's won so many grade ones, but he's always been a bit of a worry going into Cheltenham. I think if he wins this, I think that worry kind of goes for me. But I think he needs to beat Energamine here.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really beat a kind of stellar horse, has he?
That's you can say beat El Fabiolo at Sandown, but what was it at El Fabiolo?
Yeah, I think he gets his scalp here. I think he'll win. I'm pretty confident he'll win, and the market seems to be pretty confident that he'll win. Mainly because of the track and trip and the ground. Yeah. I mean, the ground's good to soft already. It's not going to get much more rain. That suits him. Going right-handed suits him. Ascot suits him. Energamine, and just align Willie Mullins with horses. I don't think he'd be fully tuned for this. This is, again, I think this is testing the water kind of stuff a little bit. He'd done that before with him going into a champion chase when he was fit. I think he kind of mainly proved himself. Reappearance at Cork with that run where you think, he's trying to hang on for Banbridge. Looks a bit better now with Banbridge winning King George and being pretty underrated. Quick ground, sharp track, right-handed. I think it's all in John Bond's favour here. I think he'll win, but I think if he wins this by 3 or 4 lengths, I still think you have to have doubts about Cheltenham because it's Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And so whether and I don't think Energamine will be 100%, but I think he's going to be reasonably forward. But you just like with Constitution Hill and against Lossiemouth and like Sergino and against Ballyburn, you just think pre-Cheltenham, it's Nicky Henderson's kind of ballpark. I mean, Shishkin beat Energamine in this, a younger Energamine, and Shishkin, probably needed a lot further at the time, and he's just won them out. I can just see John Bond grind them out in a similar fashion, maybe even a bit better than what Shishkin did. He's a younger horse. He's been the fitter horse, and he's getting to grips with things. And I think they'll win, and I think they'll win in a kind of fashion that I think they'll just stalk him and pounce when Nico de Boinville wants to and beat him. Whether it's a case of winning the battle and losing the war, like it can so often be come Cheltenham time. But I think in isolation, I think John Bond's the one that I'll be siding with on the day. Whether it's going to be the same at Cheltenham, who knows? Because I mean, and they've also got Gaelic Warrior.
I'm actually, if it was me, and again, I'm not pretending I'm Willie Mullins, but I'm surprised that they're not sending Gaelic Warrior here in Energamine to DRS.
Right-handed, but I think they know where Energamine is. He's at least we've been away with him before. Rearranged Clarence House. Well, he turned over by Edwardstone, for instance. To made a mistake, they weren't bothered.
Yeah,
they weren't bothered, and you saw a totally different horse when it mattered for them at the Cheltenham Festival. And who's had the better career since Energamine lost to Shishkin? Energamine by a distance. That's what he does. He comes over and tests the water, and then you think, oh well, we've got to back the Mullins horse here because they're over here for. it's more often than not a fact-finding mission. Mystical power against, so it's a thankless task. It runs badly. A lot of them are running badly when they come over here. It might not be against them in the future. I mean, mystical power probably is. But I don't think people are ruling out Lossiemouth and Ballybird instantly because of defeats to genuine top-notch Nicky Henderson horses that were probably more forward than the market was telling you that way anyway, and they were a bit rusty, or he's left some on them to be ready for Cheltenham. I just think that's the case here. I think we're eager to win with John Bond. I think he's maybe improved this season a little bit. He looks a bit more more mature and more rounded figure, and he has a battler. And if this develops into a battler, I think John Bond will be more willing as well. So I think if it does become a scrap, I think John Bond would win. I can see Paul Townend maybe not giving it as much as Nico de Boinville, because there are other days ahead, and there's more of a chance it could turn it around at Cheltenham than here. So yeah, I'm pretty confident John Bond would win. The other one that's interesting is to see how well he runs would be Liberty Hunter, because you think 151 Grand Annual, you think, well, can this horse get past the likes of not the top two, but like an Edwardstone or a Boot Hill, where he can maybe become a genuine place contender, and maybe a kind of, I think he's 9, but a kind of younger horse in this. Him and John Bond are the youngest horses in here. There's no kind of 7-8-year-olds that are up and coming yet, so he might be the one that's got a bit of new blood in it that might be interesting. So he's at least he's a kind of new name in the picture, where you can kind of see where he pitches in amidst the top 2 milers. But yeah, I mean, the big decision I think Paul Tennant's got to make is come the days is whether he rides Gaelic Warrior or Gavin. Now, I think the suspicion is probably Gaelic Warrior, but he's going to at least be on Gaelic Warrior, all things right, come Dublin Racing Festival, So then you'll get a gauge of where he's going to go, and you'd imagine that he wouldn't get that decision on the day in Cheltenham wrong if they both go there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just glad we're going to get this clash. Let's move into Haydock. A couple of races to talk about. We'll start with the Supreme Child Rossington Novices Hurdle, Callum. I think a potential sleeper in the Supreme market, and this could be Royal Infantry. I think he's short here. I think he's shown pretty good the 2 starts out. I think that's nice. Is clearly better than what she showed last time out at Cheltenham. But I think Royal Infantry could maybe be the one that about 25-1 in a potentially weak Supreme. I think if he wins this, I think he could be a lot shorter than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's John Bond won this 2022, then it was called off last year. Yeah, I mean, John Bond won it. They won it with Favoire. It's probably a quite similar kind of type. It wasn't quite good enough ultimately. Yes, I mean, he's won course and distance before. Form wasn't great last time. Chepstow maybe a bit better, but it's not set the Heather Alight form. Yeah, he's a solid type. He's keep winning. He ran in the champion bumper. You think a bit of him. I don't think he's supreme class, even if he does win this, because I just don't think it's that great a race. But there's some good northern horses to watch out for. Interesting that Walking in Our Dreams entered in this. Whether it takes it up, I have no idea. But 16s. So I think he probably already wants further. But Haydock, soft ground, 2 miles. It's no bad thing being screaming for 2.5 already here. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice little race to see where your kind of northern horses are. Junkyard Dahlia isn't a bad horse either for Ollie Murphy. So, but it does look Royal Infantry's to lose because he's the highest rated here, and he does have potential. So, all things being equal, he does have a penalty, but he should take care of these if he puts his best foot forward. But there are big enough. Darius and Paddy, I think he's going to Windsor. But I mean, for Lucinda Russell's yard, and they are starting to motor, and they're starting to operate quite regularly above 50% run to form rate, which they weren't doing pretty much all the start of the first season. So, first half of the season. And that's nice, could come back to form, and her additional stamina. I think she was caught out last year. It didn't go to plan, and I just don't think she's probably quick enough. She'd get away with it here at Haydock Long Straight. I think ranging Long Straight, well, she might she might get there in time if she runs. It's a bit on the drift, but suggests she might not. But I think stamina-wise, if it does become a trivial in conditions, say that it would, a bit like Potter's Charm up at Aintree, in that race where, the excess stamina was a plus rather than a kind of negative in the end, and winning it in heavy ground in the form bait at Christmas. So yeah, I mean, I can't complain with the market. Yeah, you'd expect Royal Infantry to win if he runs his race.
Let's move into the Peter Marsh handicap. Royal Pagaille, obviously a haydock specialist in here at 11-4. You've got likes of Mr. Van Gogh, Trelawn, Imagine, Gino Bello, some old kind of horses as well. Royal Pagaille, Grade 1 winner, in here 166. It's the course though, it's haydock, it's his day. You could see him doing it again.
Yeah, but I mean, the Venetia Williams yard is of massive concern to me.
Yeah.
Running to form percentage, 7%.
Yeah.
One win in 14. Was an 11 to 10 shot at Hereford. Just generally, the yard form aren't. Since Christmas, and then you get these kind of flu jab situations, don't you? Really kind of maybe go missing a little bit. I wonder if something's happened there. He's obviously dangerous to rule out, but he's 166 top weight. It's going to take a mighty effort. And there's good horses in behind here. Imagine Trelawn, Mr. Van Gogh. You can take your pick, take them on. Sam Brown, old 13, but still rated 153. Major Dundee can stay quite well. I mean, there's plenty there that you could maybe take a look at. The one that I think Trelawn's got a good chance in this. He can jump out his right, but he has one round here. And if it gets silly attritional, Mr. Van Gogh's must have a massive chance. Missed the Welsh National, unfortunately. So you've got to kind of think, is he going to be fully over that? And Imagine there's certainly a decent horse there in him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just found things happening a little bit quickly. The paddy power and the ground was too quick. And he could be a completely different proposition. Over 3 mile one here. And, Royal Pagaille's making the weight for him. He's 10 stone 6. So he's interesting. I mean, I think Trelawn and Imagine were the two interested ones against Royal Pagaille. It's, of course, it's dangerous to take on course specialists, particularly around there. But
yeah,
I think there's enough reason to take him on here. I imagine it's the one that appeals slightly more at the prices, but I think Trelawn's got a solid chance as well.
Yeah, I could see Imagine and Gelino Bello running quite well here. We'll move into Windsor on Sunday. We've got another Grade 2 before we look at the Flood de Lis, which is the Hampton Novices Chase. Again, there's a few entered elsewhere. Johnny Who's entered on Friday, so we don't know for a fact where he's going yet. Resplendent Grey's in here. You've got Marca Gold. Jinko Blue was very impressive at Cheltenham in the water side. We don't really know what's turning up here, but I would love Jinko Blue to just go and win over 3 mile because I think he could be a potential Brown advisory candidate.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's in here. He must be viewed as that, and he's the best horse in this race, I think. Particularly in raw ratings. And the water side's talented for Paul Nicholls' yard. It's a good race. So is Whistle Stop Tour, Lucinda Russell's. Resplendent Greys get form in the book, and Mark a goal one and a Grade 2, okay, a bit fortunately, but at least he's a highly rated hurler, and Lowry's Bars keeps on winning. So I suspect Johnny Who will go earlier on race that weekend as he's declared for it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is this would be a good 6 if they kept them. And I think the Henderson horse has the most potential, and the terms are reasonably good for him. And he's had a longer break as well. A lot of these are kind of maybe having a bit of a quick turnaround from Christmas. Well, he isn't. He kind of more ran at the start of December. So yes, I mean, he's not quite proven it in graded company yet, but this is a very good opportunity to do so. I think he can.
Let's move into the Flood de Lis Chase. Protectorat leads the market 5-2. You've got Jello 4-1. Pick Dory's in here at 4-1 as well with Hoy Senor. I'd imagine one of Journey with Me or Phil Dor will go here. Indiana Dream obviously forgotten now with the O'Neill yard. Again, that's an interesting race. Protectorat's probably favourite. rightly at the moment, I would say, just because it's a bit further. But Jello, I think Jello's a big shout here at 4-1.
Yard form,
I
it's a
know.
problem. It worries me. I know it can go missing, and sometimes it won't matter. But I mean, by that time, you'd have maybe seen others run
Yeah.
over the weekend, and that could give you confidence. But I really like Jello. I'm actually toying to put it up in the Ryanair.
Yeah.
I think he's got a kind of each way chance where if it breaks down, and the vote of confidence here. I mean, the home press won this last year, for instance, but the vote of confidence to kind of not even put the home press in the Ryanair and just Jello, I thought was pretty significant. And he's the horse out last year's turners that's improving from Novice Company in here. He was really good at Huntington, predicting that to the sword. Okay, he was slightly well into the weights, and he was very well back that day. He's not getting that concession this time. Protectorate's going the right way around this time. This is a more valuable prize.
Yeah.
It becomes Protectorate's time of the season a little bit. And I think he might win this.
Don't think Pictorial will run, do you?
I think he's jocked up. I think the thing is that Paul Nicholls is actually having a go at this because Pickdoy, the Sylviaco Conti was cancelled. Yeah. He might as well run here, and the prize money is good even if you're second or third. So I mean, when the prize money is good and these local trainers, they will take a chance, you know. Yeah, but I mean, left-handed, that's a different question of him. And Protectorate, the Scotland Yard, they haven't quite fired as well as much, but you can tend to have their top horses ready when the money's down, and you get narrowly touched off and full release when it was at Lingfield. I think Windsor a bit more galloping, perhaps.
Yeah.
Bit more of a rhythmic track. I think that might suit him more. And if he wins this, he's back in the conversation. I mean, it'll be a big test of Hoist and yours jumping. You know he's capable, but you've just not really seen enough from him. Even though the Yard are going good guns, though, he's not out of it. Journey with Me had a setback in the John Durkin where he took a knock. It'd be interesting to see how well he runs, but he stays star and that entered. You know, there should be a reasonable clip on here, and I think Protecting It will get a reasonably enough toe into it, and I think he'll win. But I mean, my opinion could change if Felicia Williams is firing a couple of winners by then as well, because I do like Jail as a young progressive horse in this division that could go in again, and he's going up in trip as well slightly, and it's a 2 mile 6 race, so that's another kind of question mark for him slightly. The ground will certainly be soft enough for him, but yeah, as the market's kind of saying, I think Protecting That's just about the marginal call at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'll probably wait until seeing how Venetia's horses run. We'll move into Thurles. A couple of graded races to talk about on Sunday. We'll start with the Mares Novices Chase. Zenta's got another Chase entry, so could this be the day? But you'd imagine Only by Night is the one here.
Yeah, but in the trips, up in trips, so 2 mile 4.
Yeah.
Spindleberry's an interesting one that's entered in this. At least Zenta's over a right trip, so she might have a chance to jump into it and get her jumping sorted. But I'm not going to go over all ground with her. So Ronaldo and Massey won this. Ellie May won this with similar kind of decent 6-year-old young progressive form types. You know, it could come right, but I mean, she's bombed out 3 times over fences, and I just don't see her getting any better. Up and trip might help her, but you know, the ground seems to be quite quick there, and I think that can only help Only by Night, even though up to 2.5. I don't think it'll be a problem for her. The problem was last year, you know, it started to go down south for her in the turn of the year, and you just wonder if it's not going to happen again. But I don't think it will. I mean, I think the Yard are, and you know, they're going along nicely. Yeah, I think she'll probably take this out. You know, okay, she's conceding a fair bit of weight around, perhaps to some of these, but Nav in particular, but Henry de Bromhead Yard struggling a little bit. Picked up recently, last day or two, but generally not firing. Yeah, I think Only by Night can go in again here, probably.
We'll move into the final race, which is the Horse and Jockey Hotel Chase. Obviously, the famously won for the last few years by Allaho. Again, a few Mullins horses that we don't really know like how good, well, we know kind of know how good they are. They're fairly exposed. I don't think there's anything in here that I don't know how they run. I just think it's a fairly middling race that I probably don't. Well, I wouldn't like to price this because I would be like, there's nothing really standing out here to me. Is there anything with you?
Oh, Willie Mullins won the last 4 of the last 5, 3 with Allaho. So yeah, it can sometimes be a nice stepping stone to the Ryanair for him. But when there's no that obvious that type, then it becomes a bit difficult. I mean, obviously the youngest and potentially progressive one is Blood Destiny. He's been
Yeah.
off for ages. He could be the one where he kind of develops into something, and he does have the figures to do so. So it'd be interesting to see what the final declarations are, who Paul Townend gets on board with, and things like that. Out of the exposed ones, that classic getaway might have a chance as well.
Do you know the one that I'm quite interested in? Affordale Fury. But he's been off for what, over a year?
He's been off since November 2023. Florida Pearl. It wouldn't have been, would it? The
Was it
novice
for, I think
race.
Favori Deschamps, do I remember him beating him?
And it went kind of disastrously, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, 145. He's not out. Do you know what I mean? He's better than that. He's better than that as a hurdler. Like,
You want a decent price, wouldn't you, against him?
yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah,
He's got no experience in this company in an open grade, so
I think Journey with Me goes here and probably goes off favourite, and Fildor maybe goes to Windsor.
yeah. But Henry de Bromhead says Johnny with me will go to Windsor. So,
Okay,
but
so Fildor goes here.
Phil Dorr can go wherever he wants because I don't think he'll win. But
Then.
yeah, I appreciate it's surely a busted flush.
I'd
You'd be
imagine
like,
so. Yeah.
so. I mean, I think you could chance Blood Destiny because I think he'd like the kind of niche value of the race. Johnny with me seems to be going to Windsor more prize money. Even Phil Dorr might go there, but I mean.
Mm-hmm.
At least Phil does won the course, isn't he? And he'd run
Yeah.
off 11.3 instead of 11.8, so it makes sense for him to go here. He's young enough. He might actually have a chance. But I think Classic Getaway showed some promise last day when third. I mean, I think that was a decent enough run by Embassy Gardens and Trimore because he was never in it, and he was just kind of plodding on in bad ground, and it just seemed to be a kind of general starting point, and I think he was one of Mullins's that didn't definitely need the run. So I think I would just about side with him over Blood Destiny. But I mean, it's an interesting little race. Hopefully, it doesn't kind of cut up to kind of like 4 or 5 runner fair. But Classic Getaway just.
Yeah, but it's promising to be a very busy weekend of racing, and obviously we'll have the column Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Callum will be picks as well, so hopefully we get a fairly good weekend, and we can kind of move on to Trials Day. It's busy after that's Trials Day, then DRF, then it's kind of going home from there. Callum, we'll take a look at maybe kind of Ante-Post books and kind of potentially kind of moving forward. Like I wouldn't say we're stacked with picks yet. Is there anything kind of jumping out at you at the moment?
Yeah, and I'll go with one because the cat is out the bag with him with her. It's Angel's Dawn in the Hunter's Chase.
Okay.
It's been on a lot of people's radar for a long time. She's now qualified for it. 2 runs in Ireland point to point, both won quite easily. Although one was a two runner affair. And I was quite keen to put her up at Christmas, but she didn't run in Down Royal in the Hunter's Chase there because she was in season. And I thought that sometimes that can just be like a wee kind of minor thing and completely insignificant, or sometimes it can knock a mare backwards a little bit. But she came out very quickly at the back of that and won. And so when you read the point-to-point pullouts in the recent post, it's been the plan for a while. I was just kind of hoping for better prices, but it's starting to be put up elsewhere. And she looks only danger to it's on the line, and I think she's a better horse than it's on the line. I mean, what she did 2 years ago, she won a strong Commune, beat Stumptown, only getting £4. Stumptown's rated in the 150 bracket now, potentially in the 160 bracket actually. It's a cross country favourite. Second, Mr. Incredible, who subsequently ran quite well in the Grand National, for instance, who won the Midlands National. So that's good form. And last year in the Commune, she was running really well. Beside I Know the Way You're Thinking, probably booked for second or third. and fell 2 out. And she wasn't really being asked a question there. That was off 142. Now it's on the lines 140, 141. It's a Hunter Chase boat. And let's be honest, get beaten down Royal. It's 5-2 because he's a Hunter Chase and everyone knows that he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way he's going. Well, Angels Dawn's a bit more of a kind of sleeper that maybe people that haven't looked underneath the surface don't know about yet. But once they do, they'll quickly realise that she's a better horse than him. And she's going to get close to his price. And I think she's got more class and more speed. And the yards have targeted Cheltenham quite well the last 2 years with her, and there's no reason why they can't again. And I don't think she's lost any of her ability. She's only 10, so. And it's on the line lost to kind of mid 130 horse and Sing No Mine, who can't qualify this year, so can't defend their title. So, and she probably, I don't know exactly what the concrete rules are, but I think she'll probably get an allowance, being a mare. So it's on the line, probably have to give her weight. Experienced amateur's always been on board, knows her well. 6-1. I mean, it was 12 super boosted when it's tipped elsewhere. And
you can get 8s.
Well, I can't. Some people can. I can't. Not with that firm. But yeah, I'll happy to take. I think I get 13-2. So
Okay.
Happy to take it because I think it's. I mean, I've seen some preliminarily British horses going in, and Dussart's there, for instance. But I mean, I don't really see a kind of yard or a rider to worry about really. Britain, and particularly the defending champion, isn't there. From there, I don't really see anything better that will come out of the pack than the next a good solid mid 140s horse that's going to get weight and is now qualified, is over their in-season period probably, and it's ran well in the Kim Muir, which I think is always a stronger race because you could bump into one. And she was a 1 2 years ago, and she was running well again in behind. I Know the Way You're Thinking, who was the absolute snip of the festival last year. It was a Grade 1 horse.
Mm-hmm.
So and she was running well, and Gitmaker's second, who ran well in the Scottish National and was going to be favourite in a warm order for the Welsh National, didn't make it, but it's a good barometer of form. And yeah, 6-1, it's no giveaway 8 weeks away festival, but I mean, you can get non-runnable bet with 6s, and if I was pricing it on the day, I would right now I would make Angel Story more of a 5-2 shot than it's on the line 6-1. I think she's a comfortably superior horse probably. And no funny things happen in Hunter's Chases, and she's had a couple of tumbles. She's been 6th in an Irish Grand National. I think is it 5th, 6th in Irish Grand National as well. He's a good horse when right, and it's been the plan for a long term. Usually in a normal Cheltenham year, you'd be able to sit in that for longer, and you're not looking at Hunter's Chases till mid-February, but you can't, and the firms that have priced it up, you're not going to get longer. I mean, they're mooting that they could get one run in February, but I don't think they'll need to be honest. So yeah, I think she's the one for me at the Hunter's Chase, and I've also got that in the cross country in the book, so I don't need to look at them again.
Right, I will go for one in the Mare's Chase. I kind of already said a couple of weeks ago that I was just kind of waiting on putting her up, and I am going to go for Bioluminescence. I think she stays further. I think the Cromwell Yard are absolutely flying. I think she's maybe in the limited lace profile, she's an improver. I think as well shown, I think fences are going to be the making of her. She put in a really good performance at Christmas, and obviously I think we can say JP will have the winner of this race, unless only by night wins. But I think she's the one that I think is most likely to improve, and in a race that there isn't really a standout horse of I think she's the one to beat. I think she's the one that can take the step forward. I don't think Limerick Lace is as good as last season. Dino Blue's maybe going back the way. Impervious, we don't know. Allegory Devassi, I'm not sure is. If she wins it, I think it's a bad state of affairs. I think Bioluminescence is the one that can kick on. And you saw last year, if it becomes a bog, we know she stays further. I think she's potentially the one here that I like. I'm going to go with her at 10-1.
Yeah, I think she's a solid one. Definitely, and improving one, and she will stay further. And yeah, she does remind me a lot of Limerick Lace. And if they all turn up in top form, I think she'd be in a bit of bother. I mean, Dino Blue's got a lot of class. Limerick Lace does have class. You can bounce back. These mares they can come in and out all the time. Allegory de Vasse is a living proof of that. You think last 2 runs before her last run, you'd have thought borderline gone at the game. Turns up, runs well, and now is all of a sudden bang up there in the market again. Can Dino Blue bounce back? She's been below par all season pretty much. She could. So it's a bit of a minefield of race, but she's probably the solid one and the young one, the improving one that's coming in. But yeah, there's 5 or 6 in there that the pecking order, and who's Mark Walsh going to ride? That's probably going to be the one that's going to flip favouritism. I mean, Paul Tenney probably Allegory de Vasse, but maybe not. But I mean, it's an interesting. It's a particularly interesting race with all what runs and what the jockey arrangements will be, and what the indication is and the market vibes, because I don't really see anything that's springing out the pack at the moment. I think Dino Blue's understandably being pushed out because he's not really showing anything, and
we don't know where Impervious is at.
Yeah, I mean, Impervious. I mean, the occasional bulletin has been reasonably positive. I think they'll probably run somewhere. I mean, it's like the Opera Hat's usually quite a popular port of call and things like that. So there are a couple of races in February that they can put them in and find out. Yeah, but yeah, I think they've picked out the solid one, and her jumping's a big asset as well. She jumps with real conviction. She's brave and quick, and she can be. And yeah, I think you can see her taking horses outside their comfort zone, and that's what's kind of won the day quite often in these mares chases. I know it's kind of and Colreevy, hardly steer, Limerick Lace, hardly steer, got 3 miles. So yeah, it's probably the right profile to go for at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably the one I'm going to go for. I would imagine if the kind of jockey bookings go the way I think if Dino Blue goes, probably Mark Walsh rides. I think Bioluminescence, Derek O'Connor maybe keeps the ride, and you might see like Keith Donoghue on Limerick Lace or something like that, or Only by Night. I don't know, but I would imagine it'd be one of Derek O'Connor or Keith Donoghue on Bioluminescence, and won't it that at all? Right.
I wouldn't want Derek O'Connor. You just want professionals and professional races personally. So it might factor in like bring in a John Joe O'Neill, or Rachel Blackmore could pick one up. If Henry de Bromhead doesn't have anything, and that Jack Kennedy could come back and be utilised. I mean, there are options there, and I'm sure JP McManus will figure something out.
Yep, absolutely. But we're going to wrap the show there for this week. Callum, thank you very much as always, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks again. Cranking up massively now. Aaron Monday as well to go to, so
yeah,
some fresh inspiration going on track.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much for everyone that's tuned in, folks. Our columns will be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.